Let's get started. So welcome to CWRU in Cleveland. We know that you all are having a great time in Spain in your experience. And so we are excited to welcome you to Cleveland in January. To get things started, we're going to go ahead and do some introductions of who is on the panel here. And then we'll go through logistics of the webinar before we dive into our content. So welcome. My name is Kathy Petrus, and I am the Director of Orientation Programs at Case Western Reserve University. And I will turn it over to Dave.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. We're excited that you're here. My name is Dave Vale. I am the Assistant Director in the Office of Orientation.
Allison.
Hi, I'm Allison Hoopengardner. I'm also an Assistant Director in the office.
Autumn and Kevin.
Hello, Autumn Beechler Steeving, Director for the Office of Education Abroad. It's good to see everyone again.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Sullivan, Assistant Director in the Office of Education Abroad.
All right. And Christiana.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christiana. I'm a sophomore here. I was also an orientation leader, and I myself was a spring admit.
All right, so thank you all for being here today. We are going to dive into content related to your roadmap and other things that are happening today. The webinar series, of which this is the first one, we'll talk about Discover Days, which is our in-person programming on our campus in January. And we'll dive into some parent and family sessions coming up, and then some current student advice. So you'll get to hear words of wisdom from Christiana, and we're excited to have her here with us. If you do have questions, there is a Q&A function that you can utilize, and we will probably post some information in the chat so you can follow along there. We'll have plenty of time at the end of our content to answer questions, but if you have anything that pops up as we go, please feel free to enter it into the Q&A function of our webinar. So the three categories, as mentioned, that we're going to walk through today are your spring roadmap, which launched on October 12th. And I know that you, prior to that launch, had completed some items, and we'll dive into that. And then there are more items for you to complete throughout the next few months. We'll talk about our webinar series, of which there are webinars coming up for parents and families, as well as you as new students. And then we will talk about Discover Days, which again is the in-person Cleveland programming that you would experience when you move on campus in January. All right, so step one, the spring roadmap. So this has information tasks that you need to complete prior to coming to campus. There are dates and deadlines, so especially when you log into your student portal, you'll see the deadlines for various items there, and the green check mark means that you've completed those. Some of those items you hit enter and automatically you'll get the green check mark. A couple items do take just a few days to upload because we upload those in batches. So if you've completed something and maybe it's been over a week and you're still not seeing that green check mark, feel free to reach out to our office and we can investigate what might be the issue. But for the most part, you'll be able to complete items and get that green check mark yourself. So this is what your roadmap looks like online. Parents and families, you can also see this roadmap information. And as items go live, you will see them hyperlinked, and that links to the student portal. So students, you can log in with your Case Western Reserve credentials and complete those items. There are certain items that you did prior to your departure to Spain. So things like uploading your photo for your ID and financial responsibility agreement and things along those lines. So you should have already seen those checked off when you initially logged into your roadmap. And so Autumn, I believe there are a couple other specific things related to this that you wanted to mention.
Yeah, because on there it says submit your final high school transcript and test scores and college credit evaluation. So I wanted to give a brief and quick timeline for your transcript and your courses from Madrid being populated into your CWRU SIS, your Student Information System for your course history. So we will get the transcripts from Carlos Tercera in Madrid around the beginning of February. That's the timeline that we got them last year. So I expect that to hold steady. And then we will process the courses based on the approvals that you all have, which is on a shared document that you have access to, we have access to, your four-year advisors have access to, and then those courses will show up a little bit later. It is a couple of offices that work on this, so we do the initial processing, and then we send it to four-year advisors in the undergraduate advising support office, and the undergraduate advising support office is the ones that actually go through and input the courses manually into the student information system so that they show up in your course history. If you are taking anything that is a prerequisite right now for a course that you'll take next semester, that we can work on getting that prerequisite requirement overlooked. We've done that before, and that we would work with your four-year advisor or with us on that. Either way is fine. And then those courses, when they do show up, you should remember that they are not for a grade. So you have to get a equivalent of a C or a better. And on the Madrid scale, so that's a 5, which I believe everyone is aware of. And then they will show up as the grade will be TR on your SIS course history, and that will also only show up in your course history. So if you're looking for those credits and courses and wanting to make sure that they're transferred in, then the place you look for them is under course history, some of the same places where you would look for things like your AP credit that may have come over. So that is the whole of that. If you've got any questions, ask us. I kind of wanted to give a brief rundown. I'll also drop into the chat. There's a link for this process on our website for when you return to CWRU, what some of those steps are and how that looks. So Kevin, do you have anything to add to that? Or did I?
I think you got it all.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And of course, if you have any questions, you can email us. So.
All right, great.
Thanks, Kathy.
No, thank you. Okay, so a couple other frequently asked questions that we get. The first one is basically about your picture on your roadmap, but you've already done that. Coming up on November 2nd, the housing application will open. So if you do have questions, once that opens, we do have the housing information there. So you can email or call them. Also in November, which we will talk about in just a few moments, we do have a webinar related to the housing experience and move-in for January. So that'll be one that both students and families can attend that session. Also, sometimes, we say a certain item is going to open on the roadmap. For the most part, items will not be available until 7 p.m. Eastern when you receive your weekly FYI newsletter that comes out weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern. If there is a different time that something will open, we will specify that time so that you are aware of when that's happening. So for example, at the end of November, with course registration opening, there's a certain time frame that opens earlier in the day. And so that will all be notified through the FYI newsletter. And obviously in any conversations that you're having with your four-year advisor, that they can assist you with that process. The FYI newsletter that I just mentioned. So you should be seeing that sent to your inbox every Thursday at 7 p.m. This newsletter has deadlines, upcoming events, important information, advice from current students. So definitely read through the content. It's all designed to help you in your transition and educate you on the resources available to you, especially when you arrive on campus in January. Parents or guardians, you should also be receiving the FYI throughout this orientation process. If for some reason it is not coming to your email, students, on behalf of your parents or guardians, you can send an email to our admission office and request to add the information. So it would be whoever you designated in your account when you were applying to the university. So if email addresses maybe need to get updated or anything like that, you can reach out to the admission office. And all of our articles for the newsletter, though, are archived on our website. You'll see a tab called FYI News, and there is a spring orientation link that you can click to see all of the content there. So next up is our webinar series. And so this is the first of several webinars that we are offering over the next few months. So registration for emails for these webinars was sent yesterday to families. So make sure that you check your inbox, but we have a link in that email to all of our webinars that you can register for. You can also find it on our website under the parent and family orientation section. There is a link for all of the webinars for spring 2024. We will have recordings or slides of webinars as we are able. And as we review those and get those posted, it would probably take about 3 business days. So we won't see it immediately, but you will also be able to access resources after the webinars on the website in the same exact spot. You'll see a section for webinar resources. All of these sessions align with the roadmap that the students are going through. And so content that we felt was important to answer any questions and introduce you to resources available to you on our campus. There are both student webinars as well as parent and family webinars, and we're going to dive into those topics next. So coming up in October, we have preparing for CWRU, which is the first one that we have today. Tomorrow we have 2 actually coming up. So managing CWRU finances, so the offices of University Financial Aid and Student Financial Services, as well as disability resources. So you can go ahead if you're interested and register for either of those. And we will have resources available after the fact if you are unable to attend those webinars or any of the other upcoming webinars that we'll share. In November, we have several. So students, pay attention to this one, and we will have registration going out through the FYI for this, but we have registration 101 for students to kind of walk you through a little bit more detail about the course registration process for spring. So if you have any questions about any of that, please let us know. Campus services at your service is related to dining on campus, car share, a lot of those types of services. We have our student safety session, student support and culture and identity. A place that feels like home is the offices of the Office of Multicultural Affairs, the LGBT Center, and the Flora Stone Mather Center have a joint session. These are all geared towards parents and families, by the way, minus the registration 101. Wellness at CWRU, so University Health and Counseling Services. So there are often a lot of questions about health services for students, parents and families, how you can stay engaged, and if you have concerns about your students' well-being at the university, questions about insurance and all of that. So if you were interested or have questions about that, that's a great webinar to attend. And then the last one on this list for November, Living on Campus, the Residential Experience and Move-in Process. This is one that is for students as well as parents and family members. In December, we have several. One is academic support resources for students. So things like peer tutoring, supplemental instruction, and various academic support programs that we have in place for students. They will be discussed. Advising at CWRU. So this will be a session led by the undergraduate advising support team, which is where your 4-year advisor is housed, as well as pre-major faculty advisors, which you will be introduced to your pre-major faculty advisor in January prior to the start of Discover Days. And then we have the Dean of Students Advocacy and Support at CWRU as well. So there are questions there about care management and what our Dean of Students office has available to you. And the last group of them will be happening after Discover Days. And so families, if you're still interested in learning what your students are experiencing on our campus during the semester, we have Learn by Doing, which is our experiential education webinar, Pre-Med Pathways at CWRU, student activities and leadership, so ways that your student can engage on campus and get involved. And then from our partners on the call here now, Study Abroad Redefined, Developing a Competitive Edge. Autumn or Kevin, do you have anything to add to those?
Just that you can go again.
So you're already abroad, but take advantage of those opportunities. I know that's one thing I did not do as an undergrad student that I do regret not doing. So you've already checked it off, but there are so many great options that you could do it again if you're interested. All right. Thank you. All right. And so this third section is about Discover Days, which, as mentioned, is our in-person programming in January. And so here's just an overview of that time frame. So our Discover Day schedule runs from January 10th through the 13th for students. Move-in day is January 10th, generally between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern. And more information, as I said, will be shared through the FYI newsletter as well as on that webinar in November. We do have in-person programming for parents and families. So if you are planning on coming to Cleveland with your student, we will have a schedule of in-person programming that you can attend. And then students, you will stay with us through the 13th with a variety of programming designed for you to continue your start at CWRU and introduce you to the on-campus resources available to you. You'll be able to meet more of your peers also starting at the university in January, as well as a variety of current students serving as orientation leaders. And then, as you can see there, the first day of classes in the spring semester is Tuesday, January 16th. All right. So it is required for all new and transfer students. As I mentioned, you'll meet fellow classmates and become acquainted with campus resources. And so the schedule will be available on our website. We're just fine-tuning some things. So I would anticipate in the next 2 weeks or so, we'll have that ready to go. And then we will share through the FYI newsletter information about that experience. All right, so a few more details related to parent and family programming during that time. On Wednesday, we will have our parent and family welcome. So a few members of our administration will be available and we will be able to answer any questions as you get started as well. On Thursday, we will have our information fair, which we have a variety of departments on our campus that will be available to answer your questions. For both students and families. We'll have the university welcome and then a family meet and greet and a student panel so that you can engage a little bit more. So we're hoping that through the webinars and through the information we share prior to January, that you'll be able to gain a lot of knowledge about our university and then be able to maybe meet with folks and take care of any business that you need to while you're physically on our campus in January. All right. So a few Discover Day frequently asked questions. Are meals provided? So meals for students are provided throughout the entirety until your meal plan starts on that Sunday evening with dinner. Parents, if you're interested in staying overnight, we do have various links to hotels that we recommend in the area. There are several in walking distance of campus, so you can check those out under our resources for parents and families on our website. And students, if you need to send anything to campus that would make your moving to Cleveland a little bit easier, you can do so. You will get your housing assignment towards the end of December, and that would include the address of where you would ship items if you need to, and you can do that up to 1 week prior to your arrival date on campus. All right. And so before we get into full questions and answers, I'm going to pass the microphone over to Christiana, and she can share a little bit about her experience as a student and maybe what to expect at Discover Days.
Yeah. So I actually spent my first semester before being a spring admit abroad in Argentina, so not Spain, and I am going to study abroad again next semester. So I'm kind of in a very similar boat that you guys are in. Yeah, I am also from Texas, so definitely coming here was a shift, going from being abroad in a different country to coming back home to going to a different state. But Discover Days are really fun. You get to meet a ton of other spring admits, the kind of people that are in the exact same boat as you are. And Dave, Kathy, and Allison make Discover Week really fun. And it's a way to like learn how to get around campus, what things are available to you, where certain things are, how to use a meal swipe, stuff like that, which are all very important things. And you can learn where all of your classes are before class actually starts, so you're not getting lost showing up late to class on the first day. So yeah, and now I'm an orientation leader, so I help lead it. But it can definitely be a transition, but the orientation leaders are your biggest supporters. They're here to help you. So definitely reach out to them with anything if you need help, homesickness, getting lost, any questions in general. I had an orientee reach out to me because she hurt her ankle and she didn't know what to do, and we were like halfway into the semester. So they're there for you your entire first semester to help out. So definitely reach out to them and have fun. So.
All right. Thank you so much. So that is our general overview of everything related to our onboarding process, the webinar series, Discover Week, and questions along those lines. So at this point, we're going to open it up for questions and be able to answer any questions that you may have. So you can type those into the chat and we can assist in whatever questions you might have.